here we are to close the loop from last week, right?
The PersonalITy lab. Yeah. This is something I'm so pumped to talk about because my team right now, we're working on this industry report, State of Sysadmin.
Okay.
Tara sends me an article about why is it hard right now to find a job in IT. And there's a quote that really popped out to me in this article about what qualities people are looking for. It says one of the biggest changes in the IT job market is that companies are less interested in college degrees, more likely to be seeking specific hard and soft skills, such as problem solving, critical thinking, communication, and change management. They also want employees who can simply get along with others. And I read that and I was like, rude. But then I sent it to Tara and I said, what do you think? And you were like, yeah.
Yeah. I just lost my train of thought.
Have you seen this? Is this real?
Yes, I have seen this. This is real. Like in an interview, so many times I've seen people that can just crush a technical interview.
Yes.
Where you're like, if I need to go figure out how to do something, this person can like just tell me exactly what I need to do to get there.
Yeah.
But then you start asking some of these questions about like, hey, are you going to be able to operate on a team? Are you going to be able to give and receive feedback?
So hard.
And it just falls apart from there.
Yeah. And this is where I think having some self-awareness can really carry you far.
Yes.
And that's why personality tests, they do have a bad rap because they're oversimplifying who you are.
For sure.
But they can be a useful model to think through your strengths, your weaknesses, and basically how to play nice.
It's like a mirror, right? It's a mirror for yourself. Like, and the reason that they fall apart in these interviews isn't because they can't do it. It's because they're not even cognizant of the shortcoming.
Yes, because if I'm interviewing somebody and I say, when's the time that you have dealt with constructive feedback and how did you handle it?
Yep.
I don't want them to be like, my boss told me this thing, but they were wrong and I was right.
What? You don't want a tech person to tell you they were right? That's weird, Christa.
But the thing is probably from a technical perspective, they were probably actually accurate.
They are.
Right?
Okay,
Yeah.
so we're going to go over the personality archetypes and talk about how maybe you can recognize that within yourself and do something about it.
And how that's worked for you too, and your careers and your job titles. So we have this website, 16personalities.com. It's one of the Myers-Briggs surveys you can take. And I pulled up y'all's profiles to look at your strengths and weaknesses. So first, Josh/Kelly.
Okay.
There's a lot of strengths here. I want to hear from you. How have these strengths led you to your role in IT?
I think the biggest two here are rational and curious, right? Like, there's a lot of time in IT specifically where like you just have to rationalize, like most things are causal effects in IT. Like there's no, it just happened. Like people want to say, oh, this thing just happened. That's not how IT works.
It's not random.
This is what Josh will say. I need more information.
Yeah, I need more information because it's not random, I promise. And it's curious and it's open to new ideas and new ways of doing things. But there's a caveat there, only if it's rational, right? And evidence-based.
Yes.
Like I don't want to be troubleshooting as you're just throwing stuff against the wall unless you have a reason why you might be throwing that thing.
This is what he'll say. You're trying to solve a people problem with IT. We're not doing that. That's what he'll say.
Yeah. Yeah, I do say that often.
And the flip side of this is you also have what some rude people would call weaknesses. And I want to know, how have you navigated these in your career?
These are opportunities for growth. That's what they are.
That's the corporate BS
I think
version.
the biggest one, right? Like I'm in a leadership role.
You are.
And I manage people. And one of my bigger weaknesses is like not giving enough credit to emotion. Like
the weaknesses are the people.
No, it's not. Like
those stupid people.
There's generally like we're all human. We all have emotion, right?
Yes.
But I'm dismissive. Like that is my default of like I don't actually need to know that you're upset. Like I want to solve the problem.
Say less. Too much
Take
information.
those yucky feelings elsewhere.
Like, I'm here to solve the problem. No, like that's my default, right? Like I'm here to solve a problem, and it like that's really bad.
Dismissive
like, that's really
of emotions.
bad in a leadership role.
I don't find you to be combative, but I'm also combative, so perhaps that's why we get along.
Yeah.
You two are so intimidating, you don't even know. As someone who is a very different personality type from you, it's not that you are even combative. Like for you, it's not about ego, it's about what is right.
Let's scowl at her collectively.
Oh my gosh, it's terrifying. You're terrifying. But you also are the problem solvers who get stuff done.
Yeah,
And so
but like this was helpful for me. Like the first time that like this helped, it was brought to my attention a lot of times from like very close relationships, right?
yeah, because like, would you say at the beginning of your career you were aware of these things?
No. No.
So it was actual feedback from other people around you.
It was like I would go home and I would talk about my day at work, and I talk about problems, and like the people I talked to were like, "Are you clueless?"
Are you? So you are socially clueless?
So you watch their facial expressions change as you're like, and they were the villain, and they did this, and your friends are like, oh, I don't know.
Well, what's so funny is Josh is like, his office is the dumping ground for everyone that wants to gossip or get help. And he just sits there like, why are you guys talking to me?
This is like emotionally draining though for me, right? Like to make up for these like default behaviors, it's emotionally draining. So like I go home and I'm like, I'm not physically tired, but some days I'm like emotionally just drained.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you had a lot of technical strengths, and then you're working to be self-aware about how you communicate with people. Yeah, that's real. Yeah. Tara, it's your turn.
Okay.
To be roasted.
What is it? Yes,
Let's talk about your strengths.
What are my strengths? I can barely see it. What is it?
Dedicated, strong-willed, direct and honest. I love this one. Enjoy creating order.
Love it.
Because I love sending my writers to you, being like, please be our subject matter expert. Help us make sense of this. How have these strengths led you to your career path in IT?
I don't actually think I'm very patient. That's the only thing.
I disagree.
Okay. Yes, I love to create order, and I am a very good organizer. I think, weirdly, in IT, except for this role, I've been in management for the majority of my career. And I think it's the order and the dedicated. I'm a big team player, and I always have been. I agree with the team. I agree with, I'm the opposite of Josh, actually. I like the people component of it. So I like, it's almost like a manipulation a little bit, like a loving manipulation.
I've watched her try to manipulate you in real time. Sometimes it works, sometimes it
doesn't. No, I look at the team as everyone's strengths and weaknesses and how to career path that person to build a better team, and whose strengths and weaknesses can work cohesively to make a better team.
So you really like that part of it. You like the people and the communication. Are you a unicorn? Like, do you think that's typical in the IT space?
I don't think it's typical at all. And I think it's because I came to IT with 20 years of management experience before I even started it. So I had that to lean on. So that's why I think it works for me. And also, and maybe Josh is going to start laughing here, I'm very well aware of my faults. And it's okay for you to go, hey, you're being a beast right now. And I'll go, yeah, okay. I'm not super defensive about that.
Which is huge, to have a boss that's not defensive. So speaking of faults and weaknesses, there's also some that are associated with your personality type, like uncomfortable with change, judgmental.
Totally.
Difficulty relaxing.
Totally.
So how have you had to work against these things or be aware of them in your role as an IT manager?
I think this is really important right now, because like, even though you might not be the exact same personality type as Tara, these same weaknesses are shared amongst very common IT personality like archetypes.
Yeah. This actually happened this week. I know when I'm about to be really mean, and I don't want to be that way. This happened this week. I went to Kelly and I'm like, I'm about to do something real bad. Here's what I've already done. I'm going to turn it over to you. And I think that's what a lot of people need to recognize in themselves. And that's how I lead a team. I don't lead this way. And I try to help other people grow that way too. And if I recognize myself in someone, I try to help them.
Yeah.
Got it.
So I lead the opposite of this. But I don't think you can start that way.
Well, I like that. Like, it starts with understanding what your inclination is.
Yes.
And saying, how's this going to work when I'm tackling help desk tickets, or I'm working with an end user? Like, how will they receive this? And then knowing when you're tapped out, like, I like that you went to Kelly. We're like, you got to handle this. Like,
I absolutely
I got to delegate this. I got to pass this off to you, because
you have to have a good relationship, though. Do you trust your boss? Do you trust your team? Do you have someone you can go to and go, I made a mistake, help?
And I think that's part of why when people are hiring, they want to look for different styles of communication, different personality types, different sets of strengths and weaknesses. Because if you are all the same, it's going to be hard.
It's going to be hard.
Yeah, like it's in the higher, like that's when this really becomes important. Like most everyone in the chat can do the job technically.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But I hear all the time, I'm frustrated. I can't get another job. I can't move up. I can't progress in my career. It's not because you're not technical enough.
Well, Marcel asked a good question. Do ask Kelly what he thinks. Kelly, what do you think? I did that exact same thing.
Honestly, I was just going to type, I try not to think.
No,
No,
I
mean,
did do that.
No, she did. And that's the thing. Tara and I, we've been working together for a while. We've had many conversations. She's aware of, her personality type. And, I'm happy that there's that trust there that you can come talk to me. Yeah, she's a very self-aware individual, which is impressive.
But I'm old. So I don't think younger people typically will arrive there. So it's easier said than done.
I think it takes a mentor. Like I think that's
so
the
too.
biggest takeaway is find a community, find a mentor, a little like some introspection.
Because that's what helped you, right?
Yeah,
Like you were
100%.
talking about coaching you've had at PDQ from other
100%.
people in IT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay to say, oh, I'd be a really bad CTO because I have these shortcomings, I think.
Sure.
But that's not everybody. I think there's lots of fledgling junior sysadmins who are like, I'm going to be this. I think it's common. Yeah.
Thanks for watching this segment from PDQ Live. If you like this, you'll love the full show. Check it out every Thursday at 10 a.m. Mountain. Oh, and like and subscribe, please.